All right, take two. Filmed a good chunk of this video, and then I realized the camera wasn't recording. So let's try this again. Hello, my name is Lindsay, and this is the YouTube channel where I put random crap whenever I want to put a video on the internet. It's not the most curated space. You can mostly find me on Instagram. My name over there is The Lindsay List, and I'll put a link down below if you want to get more regular updates from me. But I do like to come over here to YouTube to do these more long format video updates. Currently using this channel to update people on the weight loss surgery that I had 4 months ago. That procedure is called the SADI, also called SIPS, also called duodenal loop. It's a modified version of the duodenal switch surgery. If all of this is confusing to you, basically all you need to know is it is the gastric sleeve mixed with the gastric bypass in a nutshell. Not exactly, but that's the general idea. So I wanted to update anyone who's interested. I've had a few people follow me for this content, and so yeah, for the like 5 of you out there, this one's for you. So thanks for watching and clicking on this video. I appreciate it. I know that I was looking for content like this when I was researching and going through the surgery, and with this particular procedure there's not as much stuff out there as there is for, say, like the gastric sleeve especially, or the gastric bypass. So I kind of wanted to give back what I wished I had had at the time. So I am a couple days past 4 months since I had my surgery. I had my surgery at the end of January in 2021. I live in Austin, Texas, and my surgeon was Dr. Lowe. I don't know if this is important to anyone, but that's my stats there for you. I am always kind of hesitant to talk too much on the weight loss stuff, but I will dive into kind of my stats in that sense, and also I really want to focus more on the non-scale kind of victory. So I have some of those that I want to share later on in this video. So if that's what's important to you, you will find that. But anyways, let's dive in. So first off, the first thing I want to talk about is I had a checkup a few weeks ago where with my surgeon, and we went over I had to do some lab work to check my vitamin levels, since there is a malabsorptive aspect to my surgery, as well as just the fact that I'm eating a lot less due to small stomach size. You have to be really careful with vitamins and making sure that you have the nutrients that you need. So I've been really, really good about taking my vitamins. I'm trying to take it really seriously. I'm not always the best pill taker, but I've been on Zoloft for a few years and finally figured out how to take that every day. So just adding a few more steps to the vitamin routine. It's a little annoying, but I do it, and I'm committed to that because I realize it's important. And so thankfully all those labs came back normal and I look good, and my doctor's happy with my progress and everything. So I'm really happy. I do have a few kind of smallish complications and stuff that I'll dive into, and then there's some good stuff too. So let's get a few of the negatives out of the way, and then let's talk about all the happy stuff. Okay, so I want to make sure that I don't forget anything, so I made a list. So the first thing on my list that I've been experiencing that's kind of it is a negative, it's probably the worst part, is I've had a lot of acid reflux lately. I have taken some meds for it, and then sometimes I don't. I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on it. But the worst part is it usually happens when I'm laying down at night. And on the days that it's really bad, I'll wake up and I'll feel acid all through my mouth and throat, and I'll cough up acid. It sounds so gross, and it is, and it's painful. And the really bad ones, on like 2 or 3 times I've had it really bad, where like my throat was like literally sore from the acid. So I'm talking to my doctor about that. He's aware. I think it's pretty common in kind of the gastric sleeve and then my kind of surgery to have these kind of complications. It's not fun. I don't love it. I also don't love the idea of like being on medication for it all the time, so I'm trying to balance that. But I do know that if it's really bad, the medication is way better than what can happen from letting it go untreated. So I'm keeping an eye on it, but it's not fun. I've never really had a ton of issues with acid reflux or heartburn or any of those kinds of things except for when I've been pregnant. So it's a new experience for me. Some of the other things that I had on my list of what were kind of the bad is you're really supposed to eat slowly, and that is still really hard for me, especially as I'm starting to be able to eat more normally again. The first few weeks of eating real foods again, my stomach would kind of cramp after every bite, so I'd take a little bite, chew it, and then kind of like wait for my stomach to like freak out a little bit, and then it would relax, and then I could take another bite. And so now I could eat a lot faster if I wanted to. And so I have to be really mindful about eating slow. It's hard for me. But I know that it's important to eat slow and to chew really well. And sometimes that can mean stuff tastes really bland after a while when you're chewing it forever. So it's not the funnest thing, but I know it's important, so I've been working on it. The other thing I had on my list that's kind of the bad negative is just getting the fluid, the protein, and the vitamins that I need every day is a commitment, especially the first two. The vitamins definitely, but I already kind of touched on that. But trying to make sure I'm getting enough water, and then also make sure I'm getting enough protein. Those are both hard. And then you have the added aspect of you're not supposed to drink 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after you eat. I don't always follow the before as well as I probably should. Probably closer to like 15 minutes, so I should probably work on that. Sorry. Don't hate me. Don't be mean to me in the comments. But I try to be really good about the 30 minutes after eating with the water. So then you're having to get so much water, but there are certain times of the day where you can't drink, and those are usually the times you want to drink the most. So it's a whole thing. One thing I'm doing that's helped a lot with both of those is I've been doing a lot of green smoothie kind of things in the morning. And that gets me. Okay, I had a little interruption, not sure where. I have to cut that off because the child that came in was not dressed. So that's definitely getting cut from this video. But basically what I was getting at is I was talking about, I think, green smoothies and how I've been having those in the morning. So it kind of gives me a little bit of the kind of liquid. But mostly it's a good way for me to get a good chunk of protein and then some, vegetables in there and stuff. So I've been experimenting with that so far. I'm happy with that. I'm not a huge breakfast person, so I would probably I used to just skip breakfast a lot of the times and just eat lunch, dinner, maybe a snack. So I'm trying to kind of combat that by having something that I can drink. So I'm getting a little bit more of the nutrients that I need because there's a lot that I need. So I really like the Gen Pro protein. That seems to be a really easy way for me to get a good amount of protein in. So often that's what I'll use. And then I'll add things like flax and hemp seeds and, all this stuff. If you like green smoothies, the drill. So, that's kind of what I've been doing to kind of help with that. The other thing, so I have 3 more on my list. One is hair loss. I knew it was coming. It started. It's here. I have experienced hair loss after each of my pregnancies, so I'm no stranger to this. I do anticipate it's probably going to be worse than those times. And it's not too bad now. Like, it's not super noticeable. I'm anticipating that it'll come back, and I'm just not really stressing it right now. It's not fun. It's not my favorite side effect. But, my body's been through a huge shock. It's not super surprising. I am taking biotin, in case you're wondering, and lots of collagen and stuff. So I'm doing what I can. I don't know that it does a whole lot, but I'm trying. I'm doing all the things, and I'm just trying to be at peace with the fact that, I'm losing some hair. Another thing I've noticed lately is some of my cravings are returning. And I also noticed I kind of miss binging, which sounds terrible and obviously not something I want to start doing again. But I do miss that comfort of just having a food you really like and just being able to eat a ton of it. I can only eat really little. So it helps because if I do have a craving, I can have a little bit of it, but I can't overeat because I physically can't. But I do worry that I need to make sure that I'm making good habits so that, I don't that all of this goes to waste when my stomach naturally returns, to a slightly bigger size, which is normal for, any of these different kinds of surgeries. So I try to really focus on getting the things that I need to eat. And then if I have leftover room, I allow myself to indulge in, a little bit of treats here and there. Like if we were at a family party on Sunday and I had a little bit of the dessert that we had. And I'm trying not to let guilt be as heavy in an influence with my eating, because I think that was a huge thing with the weight gain in the first place, was just that guilt, like where you feel bad, so you eat, and then you feel bad that you ate, so then you go do it again. There's that cycle. You know what I'm talking about. It's awful. So I'm working on that. I also realized I should probably see a counselor. So that's on my to-do list, is find a counselor to talk to. And then the last thing is the body dysmorphia, which people warn me about and is a real thing. So I'm about to get into my stats, but essentially I have lost around 78 pounds. So I've almost lost 80 pounds. Obviously that's a big chunk of weight. That's nothing to sneeze at. But some days I still don't feel like I've lost a lot. I also have a lot to lose, so I'm not even halfway towards my goal of weight loss. I'm almost halfway, but there's still a lot to go. But also it's hard to see it sometimes. And I notice it better sometimes with pictures, side by sides, or, when I do things like the airplane ride, where I notice like, oh, hey, I actually am fitting differently. And there are times when I notice it, and there's times when I don't. And it's weird. I hope that I can deal with that and stuff, but it's there. I was warned about it. It's real. It's a thing. So yeah, I'd say that's my last negative. So wow, that seems like a overwhelmingly long list. It's not so bad. There was a couple of big things on there, but mostly they're just kind of little things to just be aware of anytime you're considering or you've gone through a weight loss surgery. I mean, everything has side effects. Everything has good and bad. There are good and bads to staying the weight I was too. So I think overall the benefits have definitely weighed out. We'll see how that continues to play out as I get further away from having done the surgery. But let's get into the good stuff. So I do want to go over my stats and kind of some other things that I've experienced that are awesome. So I briefly mentioned the airplane thing, and now I'm realizing you're probably like, what, you weren't talking about an airplane? No, I wasn't, but I did the first time I filmed this video, and that's what I was thinking of. So I'll get into that right now. The airplane thing I was talking about. So I've flown twice in the last maybe 6, 7, 8 months, all during a pandemic, which is, nobody wants to do that. But I did sadly have to attend the funeral for both of my grandmothers. They both died within the last year. So one funeral I think was in November and one was in February, around those times. So the first time I flew, I don't really want to dwell on the funeral stuff, but my airplane experience was very interesting, because the first time I flew was at my heaviest weight, and that was right before surgery. Like it was in the process of getting approved for surgery. And then the second time I flew, I had the surgery, and I had lost about 50 pounds at the time. So it was really interesting to compare my experience with both of those trips. So the first time I flew, when I put on the seatbelt, it was like the biggest I could stretch it out. It barely buckled. I really probably would have been a lot more comfortable if I'd have just asked for a seatbelt extender, but who wants to do that? That's not fun. So I just sucked it in and buckled it right under my belly fat, kind of like put my belly back on top of it. Yeah. So that was not super fun. And then the second time I flew, I could buckle it up, no problem. And I was a lot more comfortable, and I probably could have tightened it if I wanted to, but it's kind of nice to have a little bit of wriggle room, and I actually had that again, and it was a wonderful feeling. So I'm grateful for that, for just being a little bit more comfortable. And then the other thing is the first time I flew, when I sat in between the two seats, thankfully there was no one, they didn't book middle seats. So I knew I had an empty seat next to me, which was a big relief because I do get stressed out flying. Being a bigger person, it's not a lot of fun. And you do get a little worried. And usually I'm flying with family, so I know that like I'll have like my own family in the row. But I mean, the idea of having to go on a plane and getting stuck next to someone and maybe my weight is spilling over into their seat, I mean, it is just not a fun thought at all. So I knew I was going to have an empty seat. The armrests with both of them down are really squeezing on my hips there. It didn't feel super great. So I did put the arm up and I was able to have that breathing room. The second time I was able to have both arms down. It was comfortable. The seatbelt's buckling. I'm fitting into the airplane bathroom a little bit easier. And you know, those things are tiny. But I felt like I'm fitting physically in the world again. And that is such a good feeling. Like everyone deserves to feel that, whether you're heavy or not. I don't think that is like something that you only deserve if you're a certain weight, but the reality is that's not the world we live in. And it is very uncomfortable physically and mentally when you don't fit into the world. So I am grateful that I am able to fit better into places and not feel as self-conscious or worried as much that I'm not going to fit or that, you know, I'm going to have a problem. I'd like to go to, on my bucket list is, you know, a couple different amusement parks and stuff. And I've always had to be worried lately, like, am I going to fit? Is there a weight limit? Am I going to get kicked off a ride? Like, it's an embarrassing thought. So I'm glad that I'm moving in a direction where I'm not going to have to worry about those things anymore, hopefully. So it was good to be able to see that, because as I was saying with the body dysmorphia, which is why I brought up the plane before I talked about it, those are good reminders to me that actually help me see, oh, I have come far, even though sometimes it feels like I haven't. And it can get really discouraging sometimes when you're weighing yourself every day, which, yes, I know I shouldn't be doing that. You don't need to tell me. I know that weighing yourself every day is probably not the best idea, but, you know, I do it because I'm human. And the scale doesn't always change. And sometimes for like a week, it'll stay on the same one, and then it'll slowly ink down, and then maybe it'll go up a little bit, and then it'll go down. But when I take a step back, I mean, I'm still losing like 3.5, maybe 4 pounds a week. And that is a big chunk. And I need to be nicer to myself about that. But it's so easy when you're so close and you're so narrowed in on it to be critical. Whereas when I take a step back, I mean, I have lost 78 pounds in the last 4 months. That's incredible. I've never lost that much weight ever at one time. I've fluctuated a lot, but never that big of a chunk. I still have a lot to go, but that's huge. That's a lot of weight that I'm not carrying. I can move around a lot better. Not only my fitting places, but I have more mobility back there. I was getting to the point at my heaviest where there were certain things that I was really struggling with. I could barely put on my own shoes. Like I stopped painting my toenails because that was just not really easy to do. I love taking baths, but I could barely reach the drain and stuff. Like it was hard. I had to like maneuver myself around to be able to do these things. And it's not a fun feeling. And I'm starting to be able to just do things that a normal person can do that you don't think about until suddenly it starts disappearing, and it's a horrible feeling, and I don't wish that on anyone. And I'm grateful to have a lot more mobility back. It has been wonderful. I'm so grateful. That's a huge like victory. Some other stuff I did want to talk about is my Apple Watch band, which this is not the right band, but when I wear my sports band, I have gone from having to be on the biggest band and the biggest notch to I'm down 2 notches, which is amazing. I'm even losing some weight in my little fat toddler wrists, so that's a good feeling. And another did you hear that? That's my kids. It's summer, so my kids are home. I snuck away from them to film this, and sounds like things are getting out of hand, so I gotta wrap this up. But I did want to finally go over some other stats from my weight loss so far that I'm really excited about, and that is I've been taking measurements. So overall, these are the amounts that I've lost in different areas. So I've lost 8 inches from my hips, hence being able to fit better in an airplane. I'm super excited about that one. 4 from my waist, 6 from each thigh, which seems, it's interesting to see where the weight loss is coming out. That seems huge to me, but 6 from each thigh. I've always been very thick in the thighs and the legs, so still very thick, but I've lost 6 from each thigh, 3 from each arm. I'm definitely getting more of the like bad arm thing going on, so you know, you can kind of see that. I'm definitely starting to notice more loose skin from certain areas, feeling a little bit like a deflated balloon sometimes, but anyways, and then 2 from my neck, which is awesome. I'm hoping I can lose a little bit more there because I do think that contributes to my sleep apnea, and hopefully my sleep apnea can improve. And then 3 from my chest. So it's comforting to kind of see some of those changes that are, you know, harder to notice about yourself, but you know, there's a it's not just the weight loss. And what's interesting is there was one month where I lost a good amount of weight, but my inches like did not really change, and it was kind of discouraging. I was like, oh, that didn't make me feel great. And then the next month I like kind of, maybe the weight loss wasn't dropping as fast, but the inches were. It's weird. So having a couple of different ways to kind of measure success can be really helpful, because it's really easy to get in your mind and just kind of think that things, you know, is it working for somebody else, but maybe not for me. And yeah, so overall, I have nothing to be upset about. I mostly am not, but I'm human and I sometimes get caught up in things. But I am really pleased so far with my results, with how things are going. And I'm just happy that I did this. If you want to see some pictures, I'm going to put in a few before and afters. You can, at the end of this, so you can see visually, because I know from this video it's not really easy to tell, and there's not a lot of angles I can do in this, because like right at the edge of here are clothes, and right at the edge of here is like drawings on the wall for my toddler, and then other clutter. So like there's a very limited spot here to film. I'm in my closet. This is where I can get some quiet and some good lighting from my light up mirror. So this is where I film. And it's not really conducive for me showing you what my body looks like. So I will put in a few pictures and you can kind of see some of my before and afters if you're interested. So this is my update. This is what I'm looking like at 4 months. And I'm grateful for you guys who have been encouraging me and coming and watching these videos. I hope you find them helpful. Again, if you want to find me, I'm more often over on Instagram at the Lindsay List. And if you want to message with me or chat with me, a few of you have found me over there and we've started messaging, and I love that. So if you need someone to chat with, I'm your girl. Hit me up. Until next time, who knows when the next update will show up? Will I still be wearing braids? Probably, because this is how I do my hair. Yeah, we'll see. I'll come back at some point and let you know how the weight loss is going. Until then, bye. Take care.